Hello everybody, this is Reapy Ron, and today we're going to be doing another tier list. This tier list is going to be for the Killing Floor 2 grenades, how good they are, and where I would rank them. Now, each of these grenades are actually pretty useful because they all come with a perk, so none of them are going to go to D tier. They all have some utility with them, some more than others though. So let's go down the line and discuss each of them. So our first one we're going to talk about is Berserker's EMP Grenade. Now, the EMP grenade has a 7-meter radius when you set it off. It goes off pretty much instantly. It has a 0.25 second delay on it, so practically no delay. And it does 25 damage to everything that you hit. So not a whole lot of damage. However, this does add the EMP effect to all Zeds in the area that you hit. And what the EMP effect does is makes it so that no Zed can use their special ability. So that means sirens cannot scream, bloats cannot vomit, husks cannot explode, with some exception. If any of these Zeds are currently in the animation of doing it, they still can, and due to some delay and ping, you might still get blown up by a husk or something. That being said, they are still really, really good for disabling those Zeds. You can also disable Skrakes and Flesh Pounds from raging. However, you cannot do it while they are raging. If you hit them with an EMP while they're raging, it won't stop them. It won't knock them out of the rage. But you can, you can slowly prevent it over time. If you hit something like a Flesh Pound with this, and then run up and start hitting him knowing that he's going to rage very soon. Overall, EMPs are quite good, and I really like them, although I don't use them a whole ton. But, I'm going to put the EMP grenade probably B tier. I mean, the lack of damage kind of sucks. The utility is really, really good though. So maybe I'll put the EMP in A. I think the EMP goes to A tier. It's quite good. Not the best grenade, but a pretty good grenade. Alright, up next is the high explosive grenade for Commando. These have a 6.5 meter explosion radius, so decently large. That's about the same as some of the demo's explosion radiuses. It does 300 damage upon impact, and it has a 1 second fuse time, so it does take a second to go off. However, you can chain these together. So if you throw multiples together, they will explode pretty quickly one after another because of the delay. That's pretty good. There's not a whole lot to this grenade. It does damage. It's actually Commando's highest damaging weapon, I guess if you consider it that. And it's pretty good for killing like the occasional Flesh Pound if you don't have another option. Toss all of these at a Flesh Pound, even on Hell on Earth, can really do some damage to it. You can also blow up crowds pretty easily with these. You can blow up yourself with them quite easily though. I mean, overall, they're a pretty standard type of grenade, but they're pretty decent. You also get them with a Survivalist too, up until level 15, where then it switches to either the meta grenades or the Molotovs. I think I'm going to put the high explosive grenade probably in B tier. It does its job just fine, and it's pretty nice, but being able to blow yourself up kind of sucks. So just be wary of that. Alright, up next we have the supports grenade, which is a frag grenade. The frag grenade has a 9 meter explosion radius, so it's quite a bit larger than these other ones that we've been talking about. It takes 2 seconds to go off, so twice as long as the frag grenade, and it does 200 damage. Now, it also spawns pieces of shrapnel that go flying too. It spawns 10 shards of shrapnel, each of which can do 50 points of damage upon impact. They can also bounce off of surfaces. Now, this one is actually really easy to blow yourself up with, and this one has potentially the highest damage out of any of the grenades, but very unlikely to get it all on one target, so take that for what you will. It does have a large explosion radius, though, which is great for clearing out small things. It's okay at hitting big things like Flesh Pounds, and okay at hitting medium things. It's not quite as good as the frag grenade, but it's not quite as good as the high explosive grenade. But the frag grenade is pretty much on the same tier as the frag grenade, I would say. Or, sorry, the frag grenade is pretty much on the same tier as the high explosive grenade. I'm getting these two mixed up. Both kind of standard grenades. You can blow yourself up somewhat easy with them. But they do get the job done pretty well too. The frag grenade also has a pretty high chance of stumbling enemies too, so that's quite nice when it goes off. Alright, up next we have the Medic Grenade, and the Medic Grenade is amazing, in my opinion. So when you throw out the Medic Grenade, it has a half-second fuse time, and then it goes off. When it goes off, it sprays out blue gas. This blue gas heals all allies within it. It also applies all the buff effects that the Medic player might have. So if they have anything like Adrenaline Shot or Focused Injections, it will give that to all the allies that step in it, which is really, really good. This can also be on Survivalist too, and on Survivalist it's very good as well. You can also use this to throw against doors, and the gas will leak through the door, still injuring all Zeds on the other side. I forgot to mention that. The gas is also toxic to all Zeds. It does 50 damage on initial, I guess, explosion or touch with it, and then it does damage over time to all those Zeds. It also causes all the Zeds to panic once they have the poisoned effect on them. Now, this is really, really strong. This kills all sorts of things. This kills small Zeds extremely quickly, and it can cause large Zeds to panic, to lose aggro, so Scrakes and Flesh Pounds. It also causes medium Zeds like Husks and Sirens to just kind of panic as well, so they won't be able to use their ability. And it is an incredibly good grenade. Also, you cannot blow yourself up with this. You cannot hurt yourself, and you can only heal yourself and your allies. It's really good also if you're in a really bad situation and you're playing Medic or Survivalist and you have these. Just toss them at your feet. Toss 2 or 3 at your feet, and you won't be in such a bad situation anymore. You will quickly find out that these are incredibly good in pretty much every situation. So they are going right up to S tier. They are an incredibly good grenade. Alright, up next we've got the demos, Half a Stick of Dynamite. So the Half a Stick of Dynamite has a 3-second fuse on it, which is quite long. You will notice that if you toss this out and it doesn't hit anything. That being said, if you do hit something, it goes off immediately. Now this has a 4-meter explosion radius, so it's actually less than some of these other grenades. Which is probably to counteract the fact that you more or less have to hit something. Getting used to the arc of these can be a little bit tricky because it's somewhat more of a shallow arc than what you'd think. So, at least for me, it seems a little bit short, and it does 300 damage overall. So it does the same amount of damage as the high explosive grenade, but has less radius, and it takes longer to go off, assuming you don't hit something directly. That's not way great. I've also seen plenty of demos blow themselves up with this, myself included. But it does have a very high stagger chance as well. So when you toss this out, it has a very high chance of either killing something or stunning it or stunning all things around it. That is pretty good. So even though it does have its downsides, mostly that it's arguably the easiest grenade to blow yourself up with, it does have some upsides too. So I think I'm going to put this also in B tier. I don't know if I want to... I guess if I was going to organize these, I'd put Frag Grenade up here, and then, yeah, probably Stick of Dynamite towards the bottom. It's not as reliable as the Frag Grenade, but it's still pretty good. Alright, up next we have Molotovs. These are Firebug, and if you take the weapons harness, Survivalist grenades. Now, these have a 5-meter explosion radius, but have technically a larger flame radius that they can extend to. Or smaller, depending on where you toss it. Sometimes if you throw it in a choke point, it can only be that big and it won't spill out. But Molotovs are quite good. They do 60 damage when they explode, and then they do 10 damage from the flame. The flame does damage over time. So you get into quite a bit of weird math with this, because it's 60 damage on direct impact, 10 damage with fire scaling over time. These are actually really, really good, especially if you're very high leveled with Firebug. They're much better with Firebug than they are with Survivalist, but Survivalist can make use of them pretty well too. Main reason being is that at max level, Firebug is immune to their own fire. So you can throw these at your feet similar to a Medic Grenade and kill pretty much all the trash Zeds that are around you, or keep some of the larger Zeds away from you. The fire also does have arguably the somewhat beneficial effect of causing large Zeds to panic, or just any Zeds to panic, but in particular Scrakes and Flesh Pounds, so that they run around. That can be a good and a bad thing, because it can mess up teammate shots if you're doing that, or It could potentially save them if you're doing it. Fire can be a good or bad thing depending on when you're using it. That being said, I still think that this is probably one of the best grenades in the game, because at max level with Firebug, you have no damage to yourself. You can throw this towards allies. It's actually really good to throw your Molotovs towards like your backline. So if you have Demo, or if you have like Sharpshooter in the back that's only trying to focus on big things and you can take care of the small things, Molotovs are great to throw towards them, because then stalkers and crawlers cannot sneak up on them. If stalkers or crawlers run into the fire, they will die very quickly. So I'm going to put the Molotov probably up here in A tier. It is quite good. I don't think it's quite S tier like the medic grenade is, but not everybody can be the medic grenade, so quite high up there though. All right, up next we have the nail bomb, and the nail bomb is probably my least favorite grenade, even though it's on one of my most favorite classes. So this is Gunslinger's grenade, and this has a 10-meter explosion radius, so it actually has quite a large radius, the largest out of all the grenades we've talked about. And it does 100 damage on instant explosion. That being said, its explosion area isn't quite as big, if that makes sense, because the explosion is 10 meters, but it does drop off over time from the damage. This also spawns 10 nails that can bounce off the floor twice, or walls or ceiling or whatever. And they do 35 damage apiece. This also has a high chance of stunning at least anything directly hit by it. Again, the stun isn't as consistent once it goes further out. And the fuse time on this is 2 seconds, so it does take a little while to go off. Nail bombs, like I said, aren't my favorite grenade. I don't think they're the most consistent, mostly because of the explosion. It's just kind of wonky, in my opinion. The shards are kind of nice, and when you do get stuns, it is pretty good. It's also pretty decent for clearing trash Zeds, but I don't think it's like as useful as, say, like the Frag grenade is for that. So I'm going to put Nail Bomb in C tier. It's not bad, but it's not great either. It's just kind of okay. Alright, and then we have our Freezing Grenade. This is Sharpshooter's grenade. This has a 6-meter radius, it does 25 damage, and it has a 0.15 second fuse. So it goes off pretty much instantly when you throw this. Now this does very little damage, as you've seen. I've actually never really noticed me damaging myself, but some people have told me that they have killed themselves with a frost grenade, so it's possible. So little amount of damage to everything, but it does apply freezing. You have a very high chance of freezing the enemy, and you can actually chain these together against certain bosses like the Patriarch. If you throw 2 of them on him, you can actually freeze him in place, but if you freeze a boss, they get frozen for less time, so they're only bogged down for a second. You also have somewhat an advantage with this, because you can have an extra grenade, thanks to, I can't remember the perk, but Sharpshooter can get one of the perks, I think it's like Ammo Vest or something, where they get an extra grenade, so you can have 6, which is kind of cool. This one's actually really good. It's really, really nice to freeze Scrakes or Flesh Pounds with this, and then be able to kill them with any of your weapons, or if your teammates want to join in, they can. It's good at keeping small things away from you, because it has a low amount of damage it can do to you, so you can throw it potentially at your feet and not take too much damage, freeze small Zeds, and then move on to a better position. It has a lot of utility. Note to take about these grenades, though, is that if you throw them at a Raging Scrake or a Raging Flesh Pound, it will not freeze them. At least one of them. I can't remember if you can chain multiple together to freeze them, but just keep that in mind. When they're not raging, though, if you throw it at their feet, it's pretty much guaranteed that they will be frozen. Overall, they're pretty good. I really like freeze grenades. I think they're quite good, and they probably belong in A tier. I'm not sure if they're quite as good as the Molotov. I use Molotovs more often, for more situations. I usually only use freezing grenades in specific situations when I'm actually thinking about it. When I'm like, okay, I need to kill the Scrake, kill the Flesh Pound for the team or something like that. Whereas like Molotov is just, oh, there's some trash that's coming that way. Throw a Molotov over there. It'll solve the problem. So that's my reasoning of putting it just below that. Alright, and then our final grenade is the Flashbang from SWAT. The Flashbang has a 7-meter explosion radius. It does 125 damage. It also has somewhat of a fall off like the nail bomb does in terms of its explosion damage. It has a 0.25 second fuse time, so it goes off pretty much instantly. It's similar to like the freeze grenades. Very, very quickly when it goes off, and it has an extremely high chance of stunning enemies. If you throw these directly at something, if you hit a Scrake or a Flesh Pound directly, it will stun them, assuming they're not raging, because otherwise you can't stun them with these, at least not easily. So even though this does say it has an explosion damage, it actually can't do damage to you, which is nice. These are actually really, really good, and definitely one of the big parts of SWAT's kit, which I kind of like and don't like. I like how strong these are, but I don't like how dependent SWAT kind of is on them. If you see a SWAT running without flashbangs, it's not a great sight, especially when Scrakes or Flesh Pounds show up. But if they do have flashbangs, then that can be quite useful for you and the team. So I'm going to put the Flashbang probably at the bottom of A tier. It's definitely good. It's definitely a good grenade. I really like the high stun chance with it. Not much else to say. It's just a good grenade, and yeah. So this is where I'd put all of the Killing Floor 2 grenades. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. It was a lot of fun making it. I think I want to do at least one more of these tier lists for Killing Floor 2, and that's going to be looking at the knives and just seeing how much I like each of them. It's going to be an extremely subjective look at the knives of just how much I like them, not actually how good they are, because I don't think that list would be all that interesting. And yeah, if you guys like these tier lists, please tell me, and we might make more of them. Whatever you guys would like to talk about. I do plan on making more Killing Floor 2 content soon. I would like to make some more maybe beginner guides, what to go for newer players and what to do then, and then maybe like some complete like how to beat Hell on Earth guides or how to do other things. I'm up for just about anything, so if you guys have any suggestions, feel free to leave them down in the comments below. I always read through them, and thank you guys so much for watching this. I really do appreciate it. Hope you guys have a great day, and I will talk to all of you guys next time. Till then, stay cool, and bye.